Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gold Coast edition of the Village Law SEQFC preview show. We've only got a couple of weeks to go, and it's finals time, the best time of the year. My name's Darren. We've got a cavalcade of guests with us today. We've got Mark Madge from Football Gold Coast. G'day, Mark.
Darren, how are you going?
Good. How's that hand from doing all the shaking?
Fist pumps all around. Fist pumps all around from me. So good. Another one coming up. Women's Div 2 Metro South Grand Final. Bond versus Burleigh. Riveting stuff coming up tonight.
Woo! That should be a cracker.
On the camera filming as well as presenting. So great stuff.
It's going to be 5-4 with a last-minute winner.
Fingers crossed.
We've got Nathan James from Runaway Bay, and Nathan's got a guest with him. G'day, Nathan.
Howdy. Thanks for having me again.
All right, I'll just get you to speak up again, mate. You didn't flash up on my screen.
How's that? Any better?
Yes.
Bingo. Thanks for having me on again.
No, it's great to have you on board. Been trying to get you on all season. I just haven't called you out.
Nah, it's been a long year. You know, focus has been elsewhere. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
You got me eventually.
And you've got that beautiful Bayhawk in behind you as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about that a little bit later. We've got Lee Vernon, who's head coach at Nerang. G'day, Lee.
G'day, mate. How are you?
All right. Crazy result on the weekend, right?
Yeah. I'll go with that.
Before we go into too much detail, we've got to also introduce Craig Dutton, who's the reserves coach at Palm Beach. G'day, Craig.
Hi, Darren. Thanks for having me, mate.
No, it's great to have you on board. We've given Butters the week off, and we'll probably lose about 100 YouTube views as a result. But
it's him logging on different IPs, keep clicking it and getting those views up. That's what it is.
You think he does it himself?
For sure.
All right, Mark, let's start with you. Some big results on the weekend in the semi-finals. So 4-1 Southport over Surfers Paradise, which was called by one of our esteemed guests last week.
Yep.
And Palm Beach 5-2 over Nerang. Give us the general side of the games, and then we'll dig a bit deep into them.
It just shows you that our final series was always going to be wide open. I mean, third and fourth coming through in the first legs, starting with the Southport early kickoff, 4-1. That game, took a lot of twists and turns. Surfers going 1-0 up early. Game of errors for those that were there or have seen the footage. Errors galore. And Southport came up on the best side of that. Surfers had a great chance to go 2-0 up, which I thought would have killed the tie, 2 away goals. Away goals being in the setup in the Gold Coast Premier League. UEFA got rid of them, but we put them in. So, could have gone 2-0 up. Didn't. And then Southport, got goals and just kept rolling on. Second half there, Southport, looked like, they were way on top of Surfers. You would have said that the two sides were the complete opposite in the way they were in the regular season. Southport just grew and grew and grew with more confidence, and the more mistakes Surfers made and that they punished, the more confident they got. It just shows you Steve McDonald, his side, the belief that they have, they play for one another. At the end of the day, that squad maybe isn't as blessed as others with talent across the full 11, but with work rate, that puts more pressure on them to work harder and go from there. I always said, I think Southport, they've always got 13 Morgan up front who are great, unbelievable in front of goal. You've got Reece Hills there as well in the middle who controls it. And then from there, and Andy Ridden, I'll give him a mention as well at centre-back. From the rest, I think they're all pretty much on par. So there's probably 10 to 12 players at Southport that are realistically at the same level. And that makes it, a bit difficult, but also beneficial for Steve at that part at this time of year where he can call upon those players to come in. Our other teams, on the other hand, have a pretty set 11. I know Lee's obviously not at this current point in time with his chopping and changing that he's had to do forced by injuries and people going away. But, this time of year, Southport have come good. It's not over yet. If anyone can do it and score goals at home and get through, it's Surfers. They've scored in bunches all year and can do the same. So, it sets up an interesting second leg. That's for sure. But definitely a lot of missed opportunities for Surfers there. Got Lee and obviously Craig was there for the first grade game as well for them. So I'll let them dive a bit more into it. But, Nerang opened the scoring in the first minute and then Palm Beach obviously worked their way back into the game. I think Tom Miller has been one of the best players in the Gold Coast this season, and him coming back in to their squad after a couple of weeks off, well, a lot more than that, a long time off, has given them that bit of a lift. and it showed. Again, 2 away goals for Nerang, so something to go home and chase down. Should have been 3. Panenko penalty, which I'm sure Lee's ripping his hair out about that one, because taking 3 goals would make a much bigger difference. But yeah, I mean, Palm Beach are always capable of that. They showed that throughout the whole year. And at the end, if you look at our final league standings, there wasn't much in between our top 4 teams, that's for sure.
So given that you've got the away goal rule in place, it means that if Surfers Paradise can win 3-0, or Nerang can win 3-0 or 4-1, they'll go through on the away goals rule.
Exactly right.
Correct.
All right. Let's get to it, Lee. What happened?
Well, I just want to start with how good Palm Beach are. They're a great team, quick, rapid, transition really well, hard to break down, hungry for the ball. I was really, really impressed with Palm Beach. So I know I've got my own issues within my own squad, but I don't want to take anything away from Palm Beach. They deserve their victory, and they've been outstanding the whole second half of the season. So big kudos to those guys. To us, I think, conceding 5 goals, if you look at the league table, our defence has been our bedrock all season. We've had I suppose, a back 4 that have played pretty much every game. We've conceded very few goals. And, with the players that are away, 2 have gone over to the States, both defenders, another out with injury and another carrying an injury. I think it just showed we're just a little bit susceptible at the back, conceding the 5 goals. So,
Craig, I'll get your take on the game.
Yeah, pretty much all echoing those thoughts, really. Not taking anything away from the Nerang, but it's quite a contrast of styles in the 2 teams. I feel Nerang quite direct, and Palm Beach obviously like to play football and get the ball on the deck. We are a pretty strong team technically, and I think having the depth of the squad, first team and reserve train together every week, and so there's a lot of players that come through the reserves can slot into the first team or even on the bench, and that helps at the back end of the season when you are struggling for players if you've got that squad depth. But in terms of the game, it's like everything. No one's going to count the chickens before they hatch. It's only half time, and anything can happen between now and Saturday.
So, how do you expect you'll approach it's a home leg, isn't it? Sorry, not the away leg. So, are you going to get a double-decker bus and go and park it?
Try not to speak for Brett, but I guess I have to at this point in time.
He did say he's not going to defend. He did say it in the post-match.
Look, I know the philosophy of the squad, and I don't believe that would be the mentality. I mean, 2 or 3 goals here or there is nothing, and the main priority would be to go and score a couple of away goals.
What about yourself, Lee? What do the Eagles have to do?
Well, we certainly won't be parking the bus. Let's score at least 3 goals and hope that we don't concede any. To be honest, I've never been in this sort of situation before, so it's sort of new to me. Look, I think we've got to try and put pressure on them early, see what happens. But yeah, I don't know. There's no manual. I mean, have a look at Barcelona and Liverpool over the years in the Champions League. It can be done, but they're doing it with full squads. We'll have to think outside the box a little bit and go from there.
How was the fact that it is half time? How was the mood in the change room post game?
Look, I think we took a little bit of positivity out of the last 10 minutes. We're 5-1 down. Could have thrown the towel in there, but we scored one and we missed the penalty to go 5-3, which would have been, a little bit of change of momentum maybe. And, then you're only chasing a 2-0 victory or a 3-1 or a 4-2. So, we were disappointed that we didn't score that 3rd goal, but I think everyone's relished the training. At training last night, everyone's relished the chance that we get to have a free hit at it, basically. There's no pressure on us. No one's expecting us to overturn the scoreline. So see how we go, play with a little bit of flair and see what happens.
If your season were to end this weekend, obviously there'd be that immediate disappointment, but you've got to be absolutely so proud of the effort that you've put in this season to come second in the league.
been a huge effort, and not just by first grade, but by everyone at the club. And, I think from a league point of view, taking it to the last game of the season, and maybe that's what's affected us, and Surfers just limping over the line, going head to head for so long while the other two teams got a chance to freshen up. I don't know, but really, really happy with the way that we've gone through the whole season in first grade, reserve grade winning the league, even Coast League doing quite well, putting us in a really good situation, potentially looking at a club championship or being right up there on that as well. I think there's certainly a lot of positives to take out of it. It'd be great to see the reserves overturn their 2-1 loss in the first leg and get in the grand final as well. But yeah, look, there's obviously been disappointment with last week, but the whole season as a whole has been very positive.
Speaking of reserves, Craig, I'll go back to you. What's happening in the reserve grade semis?
Yeah, obviously it was semi against Nerang on the weekend, and it was actually our first win against them this year. We've had a loss, a draw, and a win now. Just like the first grade, we're a bit short of numbers, and going by the team sheets that were put out on the weekend, both reserve grades were short players. I mean, we had 13, and I believe they had 13. So it's a bit of a challenge at the moment. I have quite a young squad. Average age is about 19 and a half. So to get this far, it's been quite challenging, but it's been quite rewarding as well. In terms of the semi-final, I think for us, we just have to turn up and compete. They're quite a physical side, and I imagine without actually being at Nerang lately, I think I don't think the pitch is going to be as conducive to Palm Beach to playing football. So first and foremost, we just have to compete with that.
Mark, have you got some blanks to fill in? Some blanks to fill in there with the other semi-final?
Look, at the end of the day, in the reserve grade, you mean?
Yes.
Southport were 2-0 up and looking really good in the first half, and looking like it could be a bit of a bad result for Surfers, who have struggled against Southport all season in reserve grade, especially their last meeting at Surfers where they got towelled 5-1, which basically ended the title chase and comfortably gave it to Nerang at that point. But then Surfers made some changes, brought a couple of under-18s that qualified for finals into the mix. And it's like the whole momentum swung into Surfers' favour. They scored 2 goals, 2 great goals, and then kept pushing on. So, they should have probably won it in the end. The momentum, though, usually at Football Gold Coast, and Lee's been part of it for years, Craig played in it for a brief period as well. And those are the viewers know, we used to have finals as 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4. So 1 versus 2 would be the second chance, sort of winner goes straight to the grand final. 3 versus 4 knockout. I think with this new format, and I won't lie, I was a big advocate for the format. 1, to let everyone get to host a game, because you look at Nerang, right? Say Nerang was to beat Surface in a major semi-final, they would not host a game in finals. So the club wouldn't have an opportunity to make money and so on and so forth. You look at this setup of how it's worked out. Surface on Saturday night is going to be packed. It's going to be packed because 1, people want to see them lose and be knocked out, or 2, some want to see them win. So it's that balance. Same as Nerang, early kickoff. A lot of people will be down there to see what the dynamic's going to be. Nothing's over. So the fact that both those teams are also replicating reserve grade shows, the level that those clubs have been on and why they should be rewarded with finals football. Again, going back to that reserve grade game and that pendulum swinging, it now starts all over again. So it's not like you finish the game and you're on the high and you had a great 45, 50 minutes and you qualify for the final, hip, hip, hooray. You now have a second leg to think about, well, what are they going to do? What are they going to respond? How are they going to counteract that? We've seen one part of the element. So it's more of a thinking game, and it's more of a tactical side of game to see who can get the best of it. Talking about the other semi-final in first grade, because none of those people are here, obviously, from Surface and Southport. We're going to have to see Surface do something here. So, I can pretty much guarantee they're not going to sit back. They can't sit back. Same in Nerang. They've got to go for it, and they've got to go for it early. Will Southport sit back? Steve McDonald sat back in the first leg against Surface and drew 0-0. He also, sat not back completely like he did in the first game in the regular season, but in the second round, they got a 2-1 win. So Surface haven't scored 2 goals in a game against Southport, let alone win by a 3-goal margin. And that's not 5-2. So, it's got all those dynamics to set up what should be a great final week of finals football before we head to an even better weekend next week in the grand final. And I mean, over 2 legs, the best side will always go through. I don't think it's very rare that you get 180 minutes of football where a team has been the best over 180 minutes and not failed to progress.
Can you see either of the top 2 teams overcoming the deficit?
If I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on them overcoming the deficit. But, you know, I think Lee would pretty much wouldn't get upset if I said it'd be much harder for Nerang to overturn it than Surface, being personnel, being just, you know, Palm Beach can catch you on that counter. So the longer the game goes, if you look at it, even at 2-0 up, if Nerang go 2-0 up and have to push for that 3rd goal, it'll open up more gaps and more holes for Palm Beach to get on that counter. And as they did at times when, you know, Harvey Rivers stepped up, the best goalkeeper on the Gold Coast, and came up big for them in that crucial period. One more goal, if that penalty goes in and makes it 5-3, different ball game, much different, because, you know, you can win 4-2, as Lee said, changes the whole dynamic. But Surface will all come down to if they can score 5 goals, because I think Southport are scoring. So I think Southport are going to score and Surface have to score 5. Now, I don't think they, you know, like I said, I wouldn't bet on it. But if you told me they scored 5 and won 5-1, I wouldn't say, wow, like what a surprise. They have the top scorer in the league. They have equal second top scorer in the league. And they have someone sitting in 5th after all those 4.
Nathan, I'm going to bring you into the conversation here. Before we start talking about Runaway Bay, what's your take on the semi-finals?
I didn't get the chance to go to the Palm Beach final or semi-final. I ended up catching the Surface versus Southport. And look, I tend to agree with exactly, you know, what had been said. You know, Surface didn't look like themselves. And, you know, as the game progressed, Southport got more and more into the game. And it was more and more apparent that Southport were going to come in to the second leg with a first leg lead. Was it going to be 4-1? Who knows? But Southport were very good on the day. Look, Surface had an off day. But like we were saying before, a 3-goal deficit for Surface is nothing, you know? So, you know, like Mark said, I wouldn't be betting against it. But if you give me the odds, yeah, I might have a little tinker.
couple of goals early could really throw the cat amongst the pigeons, couldn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So, look, let's get to the Bayhawks. And the last time that we spoke to you was last year when you're in the Coast League. Mm-hmm. You've been promoted. Tell us about your year.
Look, obviously, bringing in a young squad into the Premier League, sort of promoted under, you know, peculiar circumstances, but nonetheless, we were the third best team in the league. Look, we've enjoyed our year in the Premier League. Unfortunately, we haven't picked up as many wins as we probably would have liked. But, you know, going back on results and performances, I don't think we underachieved. I don't think we were in any danger of finishing bottom. I think, again, if you look at our results with a lot of the teams, we're actually quite close. And, you know, you may say, well, they had the ball for long periods of the game. But we were still in the game. And, you know, from our perspective, it works in our favour to have the ball less and to be more organised. But, yeah, like I said, you go back on the results, you know, okay, we've copped a few blowouts by a few teams and we'll put our hands up because we definitely deserved it. But there are lots of games where we're very, very close. We just didn't have enough to get ourselves over the edge and sort of push on point-wise, you know, to progress ourselves up in the ladder.
I was spent a little bit of time at your match against Nerang in the final league game, and the support that you had was sensational. It was a great atmosphere. Did you have that all season?
You know how it goes. You know, your team's not winning or not performing, it sort of dies off a little bit. Sort of, we got that in Coast League last year. You know, we started a bit of momentum and all of a sudden the crowd started coming, started getting louder. I remember we went to Tweed. We played Tweed away, and that was for a guaranteed place in the finals. And we beat Tweed 3-0, and Tweed had 4 people there, and we completely took over their clubhouse. You know, so start of the year for us, even in Premier League, you know, there was a bit of hype. So you got the people there. You know, a result doesn't go your way here and there, more here than there. You sort of lose that. But we had a bit of an event on for for the Nerang game. So look, the crowd that we had there was massive, and the players that were on the field definitely, they were the 12th man for us.
Yeah, it's such a shame that was a 0-0 draw. I would have loved to have heard the crowd just, going mental at a goal being scored. Would have been great.
I've never seen a crowd go off so much for a 0-0 draw before. Apologies, Lee.
They told us why they were happy, don't worry.
All right, now tell us a bit about the Bayhawk. Now, when it was actually brought to the club, we featured it on the SEQFC page, and it caused a bit of a stir. It's now sitting in the clubhouse. Is it going to stay there, or have you got plans to put it somewhere else?
Well, I think ideally we want to put it on our roof. So when the players are playing, they can see, much like Broadbridge. Broadbridge have their dolphin set up basically at the halfway, overlooking everything. But then, there are other dramas. Do we want that over there, or do we want that to be seen by all the supporters? Will council allow us to? So look, there's a few bits and pieces that we have to decide, but look, nonetheless, the Hawk is here. Everybody loves it. All the kids are lining up for photos. It's a fantastic addition.
It certainly is. Are you locked in for next season?
I'm locked in for next season. I'm locked in for the next 5.
Love it. What about your squad, Nathan? Are they staying with you?
As far as I'm concerned, everybody's staying. But look, we need to look at bringing in players for us to bridge that gap between them next few teams. If we want to progress, we need to have them senior leaders in, particularly within our first team set up for the younger kids to learn off as well. So it's all good to say we want to go all youth, but we've got to find that balance. And, we didn't quite have the balance this year. 1 or 2 senior players get injured, and all of a sudden you're fielding basically a whole squad of under 18 players that, realistically aren't good enough for the Premier League just yet. So look, we definitely struggled in games. But yeah, we need to do a little bit of work on recruiting in the off season.
Mark, a quick word on Runaway Bay season. They did all right, didn't they?
Did very well considering the circumstances. I mean, many people obviously put them towards that bottom end of the table, and I think they knew that themselves. I think the number one thing that they set out to do was not get relegated and not finish bottom, and they did that and more. I mean, you look at every team that went to Runaway Bay this year, especially in the top half, struggled. Southport opening day was probably the easiest one. Surfers took 40 minutes to break them down. Palm Beach only got away with a 1-0 win. So, Nerang with a 0-0 draw. That ruined my week of promotion, but that's all right. All good. But yeah, look, I mean, they've done a fantastic job, Nathan. I've told him how many times. The one thing for them is crucial moving forward now, as Nathan said, with the youth balance, is those players will get not old, but they'll get older really quick. And when they get to 2021, they're either going to be good enough or not good enough at the end of the day. So, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong to believe that the development, you can't turn a 30-year-old and make him better and develop him, but maybe he's set in his ways. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why I'm not a coach. That's why I just sit in the sideline and shout and talk crap, basically. But, at the end of the day, they need to recruit. The benefit is, look at it 2 ways. There's new teams coming into the Premier League next season. So as far as we've been told, QPL 3 will be going to 12 teams. Or 11 teams if Surface win the longest playoff in the history of mankind. That will take us through to November. But that's okay. We're not, that's right. So if they do progress, we'll have an 11-team Premier League. Again, decisions are made, and that's what they're decided on. So I don't even know if I was supposed to say that, but it is what it is. So it looks like it's Tally and Tweed going to be entering. So with 4 people, we'll be back for you, Nathan, and everyone else. So good fun there. But, it's our league next year is going to get even tougher. I've always said this, and I maintain this wrongly or rightly. Our top 5, 6 could comfortably play in that QPL 2, if not higher. I mean, Lee's side comfortably, Palm Beach comfortably. So the fact that these teams expressed their desire, I know Palm Beach for sure, but I don't know about Nerang, but I'm sure the similar boat would be, that's for me, you look at our QPL 3 Gold Coast Premier League, that's going to be tougher to win than QPL 2. It will be. That's just a fact. So it'll be interesting for all our teams, not just Runaway Bay, but, especially that, I'm going to say from about 6th to 12th, 1 or 2 key signings can make the biggest difference. And again, this time of year is my favorite time of year because it's just movement and, rumors galore. So, whether you ask the other 2 coaches who are also here, if they locked in, would be a better question.
We'll come to that shortly. But quickly, firstly, I want to talk about the Coast League and legends. Legends, Mark, you did them over. You did them over. You went on your rant. They were in first place. They were unstoppable. And then they've hit a brick wall and they just missed the semi-finals on goal difference to Madarabah.
I don't think I'll be welcome down at Keith Hunt Park. Definitely on that side, but maybe both sides. Who knows anymore? Poor Mustangs and me, I don't know. Yeah, I had too few harsh words, I think, for their squad. They're not too happy with me, some of those lads, that's for sure. But no, again, Coast League, it's a bit of a mixed bag in Coast League week to week. You see some of the results, like Runaway Bay drew with Nerang and Coast League, which is like a spin out. Runaway Bay bottom, Nerang right up there, who I thought were one of the informed teams in the competition. In Coast League.
But what Runaway Bay have done is they actually canned their reserves due to numbers, so they end up having a fuller squad to be able to pick from. You look at the results the last few weeks. They've been getting there slowly.
Those Rezzies were top of the table in Coast League, though, son. So, you know what I mean? It's not like you're picking from the Rang reserve.
I know.
But look, Coast League is a mixed. I'm actually looking forward to this weekend. We can finally get to see some Coast League games with Friday and Sunday semi-finals. So we'll definitely head down. It's a shame with Tweed reserves. I put something in the paper today about it. They went undefeated. They were undefeated before the COVID situation. They can't compete in reserve grade. So Legends got a reprieve there. They're in the reserve grade finals. So let's see if they can get from 4th or technically 5th in Coast League reserves to maybe lift the trophy. So yeah, Coast League, good fun. What that looks like next year as a QPL4 is anyone's guess.
Mark, can you run through the fixtures this weekend and the times and locations?
Oh, now you're really pressing. Okay.
I had a look and I couldn't find it.
Pretty sure it's Nerang versus Tweed in Coast League 1 semi on Friday night, 8:10. And the reserve grade game is Pacific Pines versus it's Pacific Pines versus Legends, also at that same venue, Friday, 6:15. And then on Sunday, we go out to Mudgee, where it's Talabudra versus Mudgee in both Prems and reserves. It's going to be a 3 or a 4 o'clock kickoff, but I haven't even looked yet. So it'll be one of those. Head out to Sydney, have a look, keep an eye out. It'll come out soon enough. So
now, are they two-legged playoffs?
They're two-legged playoffs, same concept, reserve grade, no away goals, first grade away goals.
So are we going to have a situation where the Coast League has its grand final the week after the Premier League?
So Premier League grand final next day, 3 and 5:30, I think, or 3, something like that. 3 and 5:30, I'm pretty sure, at nights. And then the week after, Saturday, also at nights, will be the Coast League. So Coast League semi-return legs, Friday and Sunday, again, allowing everyone to go and watch all those games.
What do we think about that, guys?
Tally Valley, Matt Hilton.
So, guys, you got an opinion on that scheduling?
Anyone even watch the game of Coast League?
I think the scheduling's good. I think, Tally, Matty Hilton, a bit of experience there, will be hard to beat. I suppose the kicker is how much they've done since COVID. And I'm tipping an upset with our Coast League to get over Tweed.
There you go.
Especially after, just quietly, our Tweed friends took a nice draw against Nerang the last time. Those two were scheduled to meet 2 weeks ago and then backed it up with a win against Tamborine. So I'm sure the Nerang boys will be itching to get their teeth into Tweed and say, hey, this is what you would have copped at Glenham Park. To all Tweed, again, I'm not putting you offside. Good luck. All the best. But I'm sure you're going to get Nerang chomping at the absolute bit, especially because their Rezzies, I think, missed out because of that situation.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, that's pretty much the show. I do want to ask you one question before we finish up. We've got a Referee of the Year poll on our page at the moment. Here is your chance to get in some really good books. Who's your favourite referee, guys?
No comment.
My favourite too, even though it doesn't matter. And yeah, for me, it's Sam Osborne and Daniel Lani are my two best. And technically, they may not be the best. I know everyone talks about rules and lines and running the right lines and all the rest of that crap that they always talk about. But those two can actually talk what I've said. I don't know about players wise, but from what I gather, they're great off the field, great crack, good lads. So those two are my top two.
For me, growing up in the 90s and playing in the 90s and the early 2000s, a lot of referees had really good charisma and character, and they'd speak to players on their level during the game whilst it was on. I saw that tackle, next time you're in the book, and players respected that. And I really liked the body language and the communication from Daniel Lani. He does come up after a game, good, bad, or ugly. He's happy to take feedback, discuss decisions, good, bad, or ugly, and gives reasons why he made those decisions. He's not scared to come in and front the coaches after a game. So I think that's a really good skill that maybe some of the other referees can pick up on.
Is he doing a game this weekend?
Should have been doing the game last weekend. No, I don't know why he wasn't doing any games on the weekend.
Okay.
Or Sam, or any of the other refs that we've had this season.
What about you, Craig?
Yeah. Look, obviously it's my first year back coaching on the coast. I haven't been here for the best part of a decade, so I don't really know them too well. I'll just go with the referee who's got our game this week against Nerang. I reckon he's pretty good.
There you go. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. All right, guys, that's the show. Thank you so much for your time. It's been great to have you on board. It's been a good chat. Perfect. All right, so semi-finals this weekend. Get out to a game and give them your support, and we'll be back next week with our grand final show for the Gold Coast Premier League. I'm Darren Dutton. This is the Village Law SEQFC preview show. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.